don't say a word.
I mean a lot.
I said don't say a word.
Good flow on offense. I think we kind of making things a little too easy on the defense in terms of sustained execution. We're getting some pretty good looks, myself included. Got to make more, but
come on, little motherfucker.
On execution, in this league to win at the highest level, especially against two teams like that. So that's tough. And then defensively, obviously, you got to guard the three-point line a little bit better.
Shut up! Before I bust a cap up in your ass.
And giving teams easy points at the free throw line. And if we can get stops and turn it into transition offense, that might help us kind of simplify the game a little bit. But
say another motherfucking word and this shit is over. And I ain't playing, nigga. Nah.
I don't know. We just have to
shut the fuck up. No! Oh, shit! Say it again. Say something else. Oh! Say something else. Say something else, nigga. I'm gonna tie your old monkey ass up.
Collective IQ has to get, I think, a lot better in those moments where, you're not making shots and trying to get it.
You better keep your goddamn mouth shut.
Bobby Wallman.
Oh, I heard that shit. Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah, we need to win immediately.
And you lucky, nigga. I was just finna get up in your ass.
Oh, you gangsters think you tough, knowing you ain't bout that life. Okay, now we call your bluff, it's time that you pay the price. Oh, you scared, huh? Police bout to read them rights. I don't wanna go to jail, man, might not get no bail, man. Gangsters think you tough until them rollers pull them cuffs. Okay, now we call your bluff, you just be talking all that stuff. Oh, you a big dog, huh? Cut it out, boy, not even close. I don't wanna go to jail, man, I'm broke, can't get no bail, man.
FYF Sports, man, it's Lamont, we back with another podcast episode, man. Today I just got some NBA news and updates, all of that for you, but before we touch on that, obviously, as you guys know, man, as you guys already seen, man, Fred, FYF Fred already kind of stole the show, man. He really just wanted to jump out there and expose the footage of him talking to Steph Curry on the phone and really motivate Steph Curry to get back to greatness. So I think for Fred, man, I think it was more so about people trying to take credit for what he actually did. Fred has always been a real big Golden State Warriors fan, and he just kind of felt that Steph Curry was slipping up a bit. Now, with regards to me, I believe that the Golden State Warriors are playing completely different. Obviously, yes, it has something to do with Steph getting that extra pep in his step, getting that little bit of extra motivation when Damian Lillard kind of came at him. But for me, I think there's another reason why Steph Curry is able to excel. So before we get into those things and before we get into all of our other NBA topics and news and notes, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to the video if you have not done so already. We are grinding, getting closer to that 20K marker. I cannot wait to do our 20K subscriber celebration video. I mean, that's going to be a beautiful day right there. I mean, because we just knocking out goals. And that's what 2021 is going to be all about. I know one of my subscribers in the live chat recently asked me, what's your New Year's resolution? And you know what? My New Year's resolution is to just continue to get better with everything that we do, especially here with FYF Sports. I mean, and part of that is seeing this channel grow. Extending the fan base, getting to meet not just you subscribers, interacting with you guys in the live chat. That's a beautiful thing. It's one of the things that I love to see is every time I go live, I see new names and new faces in the chat giving their thoughts and opinions on the game of basketball, and I really appreciate the feedback that you guys give me. And one of the best things and some of the biggest compliments that I get back is that the platform isn't toxic. You know, people can come on, people can express how they feel, and there's no emotion tied to it. Now, we may joke and we may laugh, but at the end of the day, we're not going to cuss you out. We're not going to call you out your name. We're not going to block you from the channel because you have a different opinion or a unique opinion about basketball. And I think some people come onto the platform and they're a bit surprised in regards to that. So, I mean, again, salute to everybody that's hit that subscribe button. We looking to grind. We're going to continue to grow. All right. And with regards to growing, man, you know, with regards to growing, that brings me to our show sponsor, Manscaped, because as men, we have a lot of men on this channel. You know, as men, you know, when it comes to below the waist grooming, a lot of us allow, you know, our hair and everything down there to kind of grow out of proportion. Now in 2021, there are a lot of things that you want to grow in 2021. The one thing that you don't want to grow out of proportion is everything below the waist. Everything below the waist, you want to make sure you take care of all of your below the waist grooming, trim it down, touch everything up, keep everything fresh and smelling nice with Manscaped. Manscaped.com. All the tools that you need for below the waist grooming, from the ball deodorant to the Lawnmower 3.0. They have everything that you need for any aspect of your day. Whether you're somebody, if you work in a gym or you work in athletics, or if you sit in the office all day, they have products that can cater towards every man's lifestyle. And I think there's something that everybody can use, whether it's the spritz and you're on the go, whether it's the ball deodorant when you're hopping out the shower, whether it's the Lawnmower 3.0, it's something that all men can use. So make sure you guys go to manscaped.com. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promotional code FYF Crew for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's FYF Crew, 20% off and free shipping. Make sure you visit manscaped.com for all your below the waist grooming. Your balls will appreciate it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into some of our topics today. But you know, again, just because Fred had to kind of steal the show, and you guys know Fred likes to steal the show sometimes, at least he asked permission this time to kind of take the lead. And as far as the primary topic of the show today, he asked permission, so we're going to go ahead and break it down today. So as you guys already seen from the footage that played earlier, Fred had a conversation with Steph Curry. He really needed to get down to the bottom of what was going on. I know he didn't really let Steph do too much talking, but I think he got his point across to Steph. Steph had a crazy 62-point performance. Then he followed it up with another great effort against the Sacramento Kings last night. You know, as I said before, you know, it's so early in the season. You're looking at a Golden State Warrior team that's dealing with so many new pieces, so many new roles. It's hard to tell how these things will pan out once you get on an NBA court. All right, and I said the Warriors are going down a stretch of games, very winnable games against the Pistons, the Bulls, and things of that nature. It's going to give them time to find themselves. Kelly Oubre is not going to stay in that slump. Andrew Wiggins is going to pick it up, and as we've seen, he's picked up his defense and offensive intensity. And the primary thing that I think has changed for the Golden State Warriors is that Draymond Green is back. Now, people like Ticket TV right here, they're gonna say that Draymond Green's a trash can. He's no good. But the one thing that Draymond Green does when he comes onto the court, he is then the playmaker, and now Steph can run free. I mean, I know you guys all saw that play when Steph Curry was cooking, scoring those 62 points. There was a play where Draymond Green brought the ball up court and started jumping up and down, trying to direct traffic, because the young guys on the court, some of the new players, were running their wheel action incorrectly. The wheel action is designed to set a series of screens for Steph Curry. And normally that wheel action is supposed to start as soon as the ball crosses half court. And again, this is what I mean by there are growing pains that this team is going to have to go through, because again, they don't understand all the actions. Some of the players aren't used to being in such a disciplined offensive system where it's all about timing. Again, when the ball crosses half court, that initiates the offense. Guys have to be moving. Guys have to be setting screens for guys like Steph Curry. Early on in the season when Draymond Green wasn't there, Steph Curry was the one who had to bring the ball up court, initiate the offense, move it around, and hope the ball got back to him. And I think that's the biggest difference in the Golden State Warriors right now is they have a playmaker on the court. Now, it's all going to be relying on if Draymond Green can stay healthy. He's over 30. He's had a history of injuries. So can he stay healthy? And do they have another playmaker on that team who can fill in that role if Draymond Green goes down? That's going to be the biggest question for the Golden State Warriors. So, again, the past 2 games have been awesome to see. You know, we all love to see Steph Curry drop those crazy games at 60 points and then followed up with another great game. But, again, I think it's unrealistic to expect this type of effort from Steph Curry for the rest of the season. I need to see more from Oubre. I need to see more consistency from not just Oubre, but Wiggins also. And then I need to see those guys on that bench really step up and do their jobs. Mulder off the bench has been a great 3-point shooter. Damian Lee has been solid. We saw him hit the game winner against the Bulls. So those are 2 guys. Brad Wanamaker's been a very solid, a solid point guard off the bench. What I hope is that the Warriors can figure out the contract situation with Nico Mannion and Mulder. They have two two-way players on their team. There are restrictions with regards to how many games two-way players can actually play. So a lot of people have been asking, where's Nico Mannion? Why is Nico Mannion not in the rotation? Why is he not playing? Well, it's not because he's not ready. It's because they can only play him maybe around 30 to 40 games according to the rules with him being a two-way player. Now, he's been practicing. They're getting him game ready, but they have to be very careful with how many games they just throw him in. Maybe they have to wait for a Brad Wanamaker maybe to suffer an injury, but he has to just kind of stand by in reserve either until he can negotiate a regular contract with the Warriors. But as long as he's under that two-way deal, the amount of games that he's played, the amount of games that the Warriors can play combined with regards to two-way players, they have to really monitor that situation. So early on, they're going with one of their other two-way players, but that could potentially change as the season wanes. But I look forward to seeing Nico Mannion. But we're going to get back to this right here because FYF Fred, as y'all already saw, man, he was the one responsible for lighting the fire in Steph Curry. Y'all saw the footage, man. Y'all know how we do at FYF Sports, man. We drop the footage. We drop the facts. Hey, man, the phone call proves it all. The man got on the phone. He did his due diligence, man. I know he has a lot of reach. And he reached out to Steph Curry. And, you know, he did just like William Bird. He called him up, put him on the phone. A lot of people didn't believe he had Steph Curry's contact information. And he lit that fire in Steph Curry. So it was I think it was really disappointing for FYF Fred when he heard this video right here where he said Ticket TV was trying to take credit for motivating Steph Curry. It was extremely funny. You know, I saw a video title that Ticket TV came out with yesterday saying that he's the reason, or you know, his criticism of Steph Curry is the reason why. You know, I was like, man, that's not gonna bode well when FYF Fred sees it. I tried to shut my phone off. I didn't think Fred would see it. Fred actually still caught that video, and then Ticket doubled down on that and followed it up with this after Steph Curry shows up again with another great performance against the Sacramento Kings. I'm gonna play a clip of this. You guys can see how awkward and weird this sounds right here. But man, I wish Ticket TV and them the best over there. But man, they sound like they losing it every day. Every day that goes on, man, things get crazier and crazy over there. But I'm gonna play this video right here because I think it's completely sad that Ticket TV is trying to take credit for something that FYF Fred clearly did, and in his video documentation to prove it. Let's get to this video right here.
Thing, man. Post-game show tonight, man. Game ain't even over with, but we know it's over, ladies and gentlemen. And basically, you guys saw what happened, man. This is what happens when you play motivated. This is what happens when you play with heart. This is what happens when you play with desire. This is what happens when you play with passion. This is what happens when there's no excuses. This is what happens when you're not on the bench laughing when you're getting beat by 30, 40, 28. This is what happens when you taking the game serious. This is what happens when the fans don't become assholes and give all-time great players a pass for bullshit. This is what happens. This is what happens when you come out and you get pushed. This is what happens when you come out and somebody tap you on your shoulder and tell you what you're doing is shit water. This is what happens when somebody come and poke you in your chest and challenge your spot where you're ranked at on the all-time list. You're sleep.
All right, so as you guys can hear right there, I'm assuming that Ticket TV, maybe one of his mysterious contacts have gotten him back with him and informed him that Steph Curry saw his video and he was motivated. I guess. I don't know. I think it was FYF Fred with more motivation. FYF Fred actually put in a direct call to the man and lit a fire under us. I was told to keep that call private until Ticket TV decides to try to take the credit for it. We had to expose that it was really FYF Fred, man. So that's absolutely crazy right there. But you know what though? It wasn't just FYF Fred that thought this was kind of odd, because I think, and as I was watching that game, as I watched Steph Curry go crazy, you know, after watching for the last week and a half, 2 weeks, after listening to Ticket TV trying to make excuses for Allen Iverson being better than Steph Curry, after listening to him call Steph Curry overrated, and you calling him a bum, and you're calling some of his stat padding, and you're saying so many ridiculous things about Steph Curry, I don't consider any of those things motivation. I think a lot of those things were just complete and sheer disrespect to the man's game, simply because he started off the season, you know, the team. Well, I'm not even gonna say Steph Curry started off the season bad. He started off the season shooting a 3-ball, I would say, kind of poorly or below his standards. But for the most part, Steph Curry started the season off averaging about 28 a game, even though they weren't winning. So I don't want to say it was completely Steph Curry's fault. Steph Curry can't control the fact that Kelly Oubre was 1 of 26 from the 3-point line and couldn't make a shot to save his life. I don't think he had anything to do with Wiggins struggling from the field and struggling to understand defensive assignments. I don't think Steph Curry had anything to do with Draymond Green being hurt to start the season, also having COVID, and he couldn't start the season. I don't think Steph Curry had anything to do with James Wiseman catching COVID and also missing the start of the season as well, preseason and all of that. James Wiseman just wasn't ready out the gate to go. So there were a lot of things that really affected, and that's without even mentioning the loss of Klay Thompson just all of a sudden hitting this team out of the blue, completely changing the dynamic of how this team operates offensively. When you lose a guy like Klay Thompson, everything changes. When you lose that guy days before the season is about to start, everything that you've worked on in training camp is now in the garbage can, because you've lost the second best perimeter shooter in the NBA. And now you have to bring in a guy like Kelly Oubre, all right, bit more dynamic, who can do a little more things as far as being more athletic, but I don't think he's the player that Klay Thompson is, all right, defensively or offensively. And we saw that early on. So when you look at the struggles of the Golden State Warriors early, can you blame Steph Curry, or are there a lot of other things? And this is not like that. Let's not act like the Warriors' struggles carried on into the mid-season. All right, it's not like we're 30 games in and the Warriors are still struggling, and maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10 games below 500. Well, maybe then we can criticize them. But we're talking about 2 to 3 games into the season, and Ticket TV is already going into a panic about how Steph Curry's overrated. He's too high on the list because of this, because of that, and you're blaming one person for a team output. And you know what we say here at FYF Sports: you need to be extremely cautious when you criticize players for outcomes of games. Be extremely cautious, all right, when you criticize players for the outcome of any individual game. because it's a team game. This is not boxing. This is not tennis. This is not golf, where your individual stats affect winning 100%. Yes, Steph Curry's the leader of that team. Yes, a lot of the things that he does affects if that team wins. But at the end of the day, the man was still averaging 28 a game. He was asked to play a unique role that typically Draymond Green would be filling in with regards to being the playmaker of that team. And now he's asked to be the point guard of that team, be the playmaker of that team, and be the leading scorer all in one. All right, extremely difficult job. All right, extremely difficult job to do. All right, and it's hard enough. It's hard enough just to ask Steph Curry just to be the playmaker, but to be the playmaker and the leading scorer, wow, that's a lot. All right. So I think people irrationally jumped to conclusions when throwing criticism at Steph Curry. I think it was extremely unfounded. All right. And as Ticket TV says, and one of Ticket TV's major complaints about Steph Curry was, he was laughing on the bench when they were getting blown out. You know, it's just so funny now how people, you know, when you have literally hundreds of cameras covering an NBA game, you almost have a camera on every player, watching every single player's move, the things that you can catch when you're monitoring everything. All right. And then when you compare that to the Iversons back in the early 2000s, late 90s, or Jordan in the 90s, players in the 80s, where there weren't nearly as many cameras or was not nearly as much coverage of these games the way there is today. I mean, there's a channel. I don't know if you guys knew this. There's a channel dedicated to NBA layup lines that literally you can select a player and you can watch a player throughout the entire layup line. There's a camera for every player. I mean, we're dealing with so much technology, so many cameras. We're going to catch more things on camera, more things that we never saw before in an NBA game. So it doesn't surprise me that all of these cameras would catch a player. I mean, if you're getting blown out by 40, you know what? Not everybody reacts the same. Not everybody's going to sit on the bench with a pissed off look and act like it's the end of the world. So, some great leaders say, you know what? I know things will get better. We're going to live to fight another day. We'll fix everything. There's no need for me to hang my head and get upset and start throwing a temper tantrum over one loss, regardless of how big it was. I mean, we've seen some of the best teams in the NBA take major losses. We just watched the Dallas Mavericks destroy the Los Angeles Clippers by 50. All right, hold on. Does that mean Kawhi Leonard's overrated? Does that mean Paul George is overrated? Does that mean Tyronn Lue is overrated as a coach? See, we're dealing with a different season. We're dealing with a season where we know that coaches are willing to throw the towel in early because they're going to be playing more back-to-backs. They're not going to put up as big of a fight. If they're getting blown out by 20 going into the fourth, I've seen more teams just go ahead and bench their starters at the beginning of the fourth, when normally in the regular season, most coaches will at least play their starters until about 8 to 9 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes into the quarter, to see if they can go into that lead and maybe get a chance to win that game. But I'm seeing more teams throw in the towel at the beginning of the fourth. And what I've been seeing is these leads balloon and go out of proportion in the fourth quarter for most of these games, with the exception of that Clipper game. So there are a lot of things that factor into the struggles of the Golden State Warriors early. And when I say early, you want to talk about the first 3 games. It's not very many games. It's an extremely small sample size to run around trying to judge player zone. So again, I just wanted to touch on that. But, you know, it was just funny, and I want to go ahead and get to this before I spend too much time on it. But it was funny because there was a subscriber speaking to Ticket TV earlier today who actually called him out on, you know, how he's backtracking on his stance about Steph Curry. See, and so I want to, matter of fact, I'm just going to get to this clip because I think we all know the subscriber. We all know him. He comes on our panel every now and then. He comments on the videos. He has an epic game coming up against GOAT Mike. Hitman X actually called Ticket TV out. Let's go ahead and get to that clip.
Up off his ass.
Hey, hold on 1 second, Trayvon. Hey, Hitman X, take that weak ass video you just put up down, dog. He ain't Ethan no man. Shut the fuck up, nigga. Y'all niggas bitch, straight bitches, dog. And I'm gonna tell you why you a bitch for putting that video up. Ain't nobody hating on Stephen Curry. Nobody said he was a bum. Nobody said he wasn't an all-time Hall of Famer. We said he was overrated on the Hall of Fame all-time list, nigga. Because what you saw last night, AI did that shit every fucking night for 11 years in Philly, motherfucker. No goddamn reputable offensive help. So shut your bitch ass up. The nigga got beat by 100 points in 3 games combined, nigga. He needed somebody to call that shit out. And when you bitch ass niggas don't want to call that shit out, and then when somebody call the shit like you're supposed to get called, and you call somebody a hater, you acting like a bitch. Period, nigga. You acting like a bitch. Cause y'all niggas don't want to call that shit what it is. That shit don't faze me. That nigga played through 1 game. Play like that. Give me every other game of the season where you poking your chest out and leave it on the line. I'm not saying you gotta drop 60, but go out there and lay it on the line every single night. And don't let your team get beat by 40 and 30, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up. Somebody hate everybody trying to backtrack. Fuck out of my face, nigga. Go ass
Yo,
block,
Ticket,
man.
Ticket, bitch ass nigga making videos about the Ticket.
You a bitch.
That bitch ass nigga making videos, bro.
Them niggas don't know nothing about basketball. Niggas, you ride my nuts. Falling off everything I say, nigga. Fuck out of my face, nigga. You a bitch. And y'all motherfuckers don't know shit about basketball, nigga. I come from a land, nigga, where you play hard every fucking game.
Sad right there, because see, and then you know what, it doesn't surprise me, man. See, it doesn't surprise me. See, so as I've told you guys before, it's so early in the season. Did not put yourself out there jumping out, making some of these ridiculous conclusions on players after 2 and 3 games. And then on top of that, you're selectively calling out certain players. Because when Kawhi Leonard gets blown out by 50, he's not overrated. Tyronn Lue is not overrated as a coach. Tyronn, and if you're gonna keep that same energy for all of the teams that have been getting these blowout losses, especially the good ones. I mean, did we say that Giannis Antetokounmpo was overrated? Did we say that Mike Budenholzer was overrated as a coach? Did we call out Chris Middleton when they lost to the Knicks by 20? I mean, we got to keep that same energy. I mean, if you're going to keep that same energy and be consistent, then at least do it with everybody that takes a big loss. Overreact and panic every time any good team takes a big loss or loses a game that they should have won. When we watch Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both miss shots in the clutch, 2 players that you profess earlier after you overreacted and said that this team was this pairing was the best duo in the NBA and they're looking like they're going to get to the NBA finals, you now watch them lose to a Russell Westbrook, a player that you've highly criticized when you just criticized the Washington Wizards after an 0-5 start, and then they lose to Russell Westbrook, and both of the 2 players that you profess to be the most clutch in the league right now miss clutch open shots to potentially beat the Wizards. This is again, you guys. Again, we can make assumptions, we can take guesses, but don't jump out there and make these wild accusations and assumptions about players, especially all-time great players like Steph Curry. And yes, he did call Steph Curry overrated. Yes, he did call him a bum. Yes, he did call him trash. Yes, he did call him overrated, along with Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. You said all of these things, and when people call you out for now backtracking just because you watch him drop 62 points, well, now you look silly. Because what you were waiting on was you were hoping that he would have a bad game against the Sacramento Kings, and then you can follow that up and say, look, I told you he's, you see. But what happened was Steph Curry actually followed it up with another great game. 30 points in the first half. what I say. I don't know why you guys, especially after FYF Fred calls. If FYF Fred calls a player, don't jump out there and make these dumb conclusions. But you know what? It's about just being smart about basketball, y'all. It's about being smart about basketball, not jumping to ridiculous takes, and just doing this for research purposes only, man. We got to evaluate. All right, it's too early in the season. Like, again, we're not even 10 games into the season, and Ticket TV has made about 35 different conclusions and assumptions about teams and players. He's went from saying that KD and Kyrie were the best duo in the NBA. Now they're overrated. Now they should panic. He's went from saying that the Golden State Warriors are overrated to now saying, oh, look at Curry, man. So inspirational. He sounded like Flight Reacts all of a sudden now. I mean, it's crazy just some of the conclusions that this man comes to. It's been it's completely ridiculous. He's putting videos out there saying that the Warriors need to trade everybody, including James Wiseman, for James Harden. I mean, some of this stuff is just some asinine, idiotic takes on basketball. And I tell you guys, you watch for the entertainment value. Again, it's research purposes only. When you watch, learn what not to do when you debate. Because a couple people from Ticket TV have came over to our channel, and you don't know how to debate, and you've gotten ethered, you made yourself look pretty silly. You made yourself look silly. So again, just guys, educate yourself, do your research. Don't rush to conclusions, man. Give these players a chance. We're not even 10 games into the season yet, y'all. All right, on top of the fact it's not a normal season, we're playing a lot of back-to-backs. All right, but we got some other NBA news and notes to cover today. We're gonna go ahead and jump to those topics really quick right here, and I got them right here. First story I want to really cover real quick is Steve Nash. Steve Nash came out and he said that he doesn't want to turn the DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen situation into a mini drama. All right, and we talked about this on my live stream the other day. We spoke on this because it's obvious that Jared Allen is clearly outplaying DeAndre Jordan defensively and offensively. He can do a lot more in the pick and roll, offensively and defensively. He's much more active on the offensive glass. He just has a lot more in his repertoire. And so the drama that's coming out there this was asked to Steve Nash, is DeAndre Jordan starting because of his relationship with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant? And when that was asked, like I said, Steve Nash was actually pretty honest about it. He said, yes, it's somewhat to do with that. He's a more experienced player, has more years, and he brings that, that more experienced element. But I understand the more experienced element, but when you're dealing with a guy like Jared Allen, you've already lost your best playmaker in Spencer Dinwiddie. All right, you're now asking Kyrie Irving to be a playmaker. So now Kyrie Irving's in. And again, this is why I don't want to jump on Kyrie Irving too soon. But they've put Kyrie Irving in an extremely difficult situation where Kyrie Irving is a primary scorer on that team. And now you're asking a primary scorer to be your playmaker and facilitator. All right, so those two things don't necessarily go hand in hand. So there's going to be some growing pains for the Brooklyn Nets as they figure this out. Now, they've applied for a $5.7 million injured player exception. Maybe there's a playmaker that they can go out to put and add to this roster, all right, so that Kyrie can get back to his natural role of being that, kind of scoring guard on the perimeter alongside Kevin Durant. But he's in a tough situation right now. Steve Nash is in a tough situation. He's going to have to figure it out schematically, all right? KD may have to put an uptick to his scoring in the time being. He may have to just be the primary scorer because Kyrie has different assignments right now. So we're going to see some growing pains. And now it's also come out that Kevin Durant can potentially be out the next couple of games due to a COVID-19 protocol. We're going to see growing pains with this team. I never expected it to look perfect. But at the end of the day, they still have two of the best players in the NBA. And that's always a great starting point. So hopefully Nash can get this figured out. I would hate to see this turn into some type of drama. From what I've been hearing is Jared Allen's been on the trade block for a long time. But if you move him, you don't really have any other go-to backup bigs. And when you're potentially looking ahead to the finals, I wouldn't recommend trading away a guy like Jared Allen and then you expect to match up with a team like the Lakers without at least 2 solid bigs on your roster. So I think that aspiration of getting to the finals, potentially playing the Lakers, I think that's what's holding up any potential trade talks for Jared Allen, moving him for other pieces. But I mean, now that Dinwiddie's down, you may have to look to get creative with what you can do with regards to some trades. So you may have to let guys like Taurean Prince go. I don't know why they're not using them as much as I thought. You got Bruce Brown on that bench. Bruce Brown is actually a solid playmaker who can defend. Maybe can be a poor man Spencer Dinwiddie if you actually use them. So Tyler Johnson on that team. So hopefully they can get it figured out. I really hope they can. But they got a lot of questions to answer over the next couple of days. But again, I want you guys to watch over the next couple of days. For one, don't jump to conclusions. But when you watch the Brooklyn Nets play over the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to see some bad basketball. They've already been struggling to defend. You're probably going to see them struggle on the offensive end, especially without KD. And then also with Kyrie accepting a new role as the primary playmaker, and he's still looked at as a go-to scorer on that team. So he has a lot on his shoulders, a lot that he will be needing to adjust to. Next up, man, we got some information out of Boston today. And I know True the King is probably going to be very interested in this, but the Miami Heat have reached out to the Boston Celtics for Kemba Walker. And the Miami Heat presented the Boston Celtics with 2 separate trade scenarios that would send Kemba Walker to the Miami Heat. And we all know that, when you look at that Boston team, when you got Jason Tatum, who just dropped 40 tonight, or not Jason Tatum, but you have Jason Tatum and you have Jaylen Brown, 2 dynamic guards and forwards in this league. Just so dynamic, scoring the ball. You would hate to have to trade one of those 2, but if you can trade an asset like Kemba Walker, who's injured right now, not expected back until late January, and maybe bring in a haul of players. And I said this in my live as well. If Boston can make a trade and bring in a haul of players to give them depth and shore up multiple positions, that's to be the best thing that they can do. And this offer right here from the Miami Heat, if it's true, and again, this is only reported, so I don't want you guys to lock this in as fact, but it's been reported that the Miami Heat would love to take Kemba Walker, and they would be willing to give Boston Andre Iguodala, Kelly Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Miami's 2026 first-round pick, which is lottery protected. Miami will receive Kemba Walker and the Charlotte 2022 second-round pick, which Boston currently holds. That was one of the trade offers, and what I said before was they presented to Boston 2 separate scenarios. So the other trade scenario, and again, I like this particular trade scenario as well for Boston if they can pull it off. Andre Iguodala, Avery Bradley, Duncan Robinson, and a 2025 Miami first-round pick. Miami would receive Kemba Walker and Charlotte's 2022 second-round pick, which Boston currently holds. And so in both deals, and I actually, both deals I like, because I like the second deal, but I actually like the first deal just a little bit more because it gives you Kendrick Nunn. He can shore up that point guard spot because we know you guys have been struggling at the point guard spot. Now, can Kendrick Nunn be a facilitator? We know Kendrick Nunn is more of a scoring guard, but can he be a facilitator? We know he can be a solid defender. He's a hard-nosed player who loves to compete. Kelly Olynyk, Again, they need to get more dynamic at the forward and center spot. Kelly Olynyk, we saw him in the finals last year, did a great job of spacing the floor, being able to make threes, but also be a force inside. We know what Duncan Robinson can do with regards to spacing the floor. When you look at guys like Marcus Smart on that team who struggle to shoot the ball consistently from the three-point line, bringing a guy like Duncan Robinson in would greatly help. And then if you can bring a veteran in like Andre Iguodala, a veteran who kind of do it all, kind of fill in whatever spots you need, even help you with a small ball lineup if you wish to go small. You still have your two key pieces. You still have Tristan Thompson. You still have Daniel Tice. I think both of these trades will really put Boston in that driver's seat position, right? To at least give them a shot at winning the East this year, because as it stands right now, they are just not deep enough to win. And with Kemba Walker hurt and making so much money, I think this would be the opportune time to dump that contract and bring in some players that could give you a lot more depth and give you a better chance to win. All right. So, I mean, hopefully Boston can find a way to improve that roster. It's got to start with getting rid of shaking some of these bad contracts. I love Kemba Walker. I love his game. But that signing has just not proven to be very effective at all. Not because Kemba's not a good player, but it's because of his availability. He finds himself on the injured list, deactivated far too often. And maybe it's time for a change of scenery when that begins to happen. Maybe Miami can get him healthy. They can probably help him manage his minutes with a guard like Goran Dragic over there who can potentially start until he's fully healthy. But they got to do something over there. They got to do something over there to get some depth on that team. And I think those trades, if those trades hold true, then I think the Boston Celtics need to jump on those deals immediately to make that happen, to strengthen their rosters. Another thing I wanted to talk about, back on the Golden State Warriors. This is one of the best things. And again, as I talked about earlier, we talked about the impact of Draymond Green. But when they played, when they recently played the Sacramento Kings last night, a lot of people don't know this, but the Golden State Warriors set the record this season for the most assists in a game. They set the record this season for the most assists in the game. The Warriors assisted on 91% of all of their baskets against the Sacramento Kings. 41 assists on 45 made field goals. It's their highest assist percentage in a game since 1995. And you know what? This is what I mean, that the Draymond effect. This is what I mean by the Draymond effect. When you have a guy that's willing to come in and do everything but score to help your team win, it has to rub off on some of your other players. And the one thing that we saw against Sacramento was they had trouble guarding those extra passes, especially when they were able to skip the ball around the perimeter. And guys like Damian Lee and Mulder, they're able to make open shots. When you have guys like Wiggins, who are great drivers to the basket, but they're also willing passers to be able to kick it out and make that defense really work, as opposed to taking tough layups over defenders. That right there, I want you guys to, again, research. This means a lot. But when a team can move the ball like this, it can be extremely difficult to guard. And when the team can move the ball like this, and you have elite shooters on that team, all right, we just saw Kelly Oubre. He shot 4-6 from the three-point line today. He's finally breaking out of that slump. Andrew Wiggins made threes today. Steph Curry, always going to be lights out from the three-point line, but you got Mulder, you got Damian Lee. Whew. I mean, the team is looking like they still can potentially be one of the best shooting teams in the NBA, the way they are able to move the ball, to get guys open. I mean, so salute to the Golden State Warriors for really ramping up their team-oriented style of play. Draymond Green is back. He's healthy, and with every game that he's played, I think this is his third game back, he's looking healthier. He's looking more dynamic. He's looking like he still wants to be the best defender on that team. And some of the stops that this man is making at the rim against bigs, against guards, I mean, it's completely amazing. So you guys, man, salute to the Warriors, man, for playing such an unselfish style of play. I mean, when we're in an era, when we're in an era now where basketball is starting to become about highlights and guys who can dribble and shimmy and do everything by themselves, like the Kyries. You know what? It's a beautiful thing to see what the Golden State Warriors were able to do by moving the ball last night and how they dominated the Sacramento Kings. All right, last story of the day, and we kind of touched on this before. It's unfortunate, but Kevin Durant faces a 7-day quarantine for possible COVID-19 exposure. And you know what? If things couldn't get worse for the Brooklyn Nets, they actually may get worse if Kevin Durant has to sit out because he needs to quarantine. That's just gonna put them behind just a little bit more. I mean, they're in a process right now of reinventing themselves, trying to figure it out. Spencer Dinwiddie out for the year, partially torn ACL. Now they have to integrate Kyrie Irving as a playmaker. And as he's getting integrated into that new role, your best player on your team is now potentially out for 7 days due to exposure to COVID-19. Again, this is all potential. He may not need to sit out, but if he does, I mean, this can get ugly for Brooklyn. It can get ugly. I mean, that's looking like he might miss 3 to 4 games if he has to sit out for 7 days. So I don't think it's going to really affect the overall record. But I think as it stands right now, they need as much time as possible to figure this team out and build chemistry on the court. And you can't do that when you have your star players out for whatever reason. So hopefully the Brooklyn Nets can get this all figured out. Don't know if they can, but I forecast that great players will always get it figured out. I mean, you got Kyrie, you got Steve Nash over there on the bench, Amari Stoudemire on the bench, Mike D'Antoni on the bench. You got Kevin Durant on your team. I think they can all figure it out. And then we're going to finish up on this story right here with Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell came out to say, and he just kind of responded to reports. He wanted to respond to reports that Clutch Sports played a role in him joining the Lakers. And he just wanted to come out and refute that information. He actually just came out and said that his decision to join the Lakers was about family. Where's his family located? Where do they live? And knowing how close he was to his grandmother and with her recently passing, I can understand why he wanted to stay close to home. It's a lot of people can't relate to that, like what he's feeling. Only a handful of us have lost parents or grandparents, and I think for you to really understand where he's coming from when he makes that statement, you have to have lost a parent or a grandparent to understand that, to give you that additional motivation to want to be closer to your family, to spend more time with your family and things of that nature. So, for me, I can give you an example. It's one of the greatest things in the world that I found out that my grandmother had moved out to Las Vegas. Now she's on the West Coast along with my aunt and some other family members because, after losing, in my case, your mom and your dad, you now see the importance of spending that time with your family. My grandmother, who's 85 years old, time is one thing that none of us can beat. And I want to make sure that I'm able to spend some time with my grandmother before that day comes. And so again, we all need to be, we all need to understand that to some degree. So when you, and this is why I say be careful about some of the things that you say, especially if you're always looking to blame LeBron James for something. I think we just need to sit back and analyze that these guys all individually have lives. The world and the NBA does not revolve around Clutch Sports and LeBron James. All right, guys like Montrezl Harrell make their decisions for their own personal reasons. All right, we know that Ticket TV came out with a story and he lied, and he said that Charlotte offered Montrezl Harrell a max contract. That's a lie. Charlotte didn't offer him a max contract. They may have offered him a contract, but it wasn't a max deal. And at the end of the day, if all of his family's in LA, and we know he just lost his grandmother, we know how close he is to his family, well, why would he move? Why would he go cross country to Charlotte? All right. But again, that's just what I mean by you got to be careful with some of the things that you say and trying to blame LeBron James for everything, because these guys got bigger fish to fry. These things got other things going on in their life that don't revolve around LeBron James. And in Montrezl Harrell's case, I can definitely relate to why he made that decision to go cross town to play with the Lakers. It makes sense with his circumstance. All right, and he already came out and said that the Clippers did not want to re-sign him. If the Clippers don't want to re-sign you, and you want to stay in LA, what's the next best thing you can do to stay in LA is just to go cross town to the crosstown rival. You play in the same center. You don't have to move. You don't have to change your lifestyle. You don't have to be away from your family. All right, so it makes sense. So again, I respect Montrezl Harrell for coming out, making it clear in this report. He responded to reports saying that responds to idea that Clutch Sports played a role in him joining the Lakers. I mean, a lot of people who hate LeBron James are going to always insinuate things like that. They're always going to make it about LeBron. They're always going to be biased toward that particular point of view. But at the end of the day, I do want to be sympathetic to Montrezl Harrell, because I definitely understand his situation right there, and I can relate right there. So again, y'all, the NBA doesn't revolve around LeBron James. Everything that goes wrong or right with the NBA is not because of LeBron James. All right. And when LeBron James is retired from the NBA and moves on, NBA is going to prop up the next young star to take his place, and life will go on. All right. So again, man, make sure y'all just doing y'all due diligence, doing y'all research purposes only. Do not make these bad takes, man. All right. Don't get caught up, and don't get caught up on just being blocked. Like, I know a lot of people, especially on this channel, there are a lot of us who've all been blocked from Ticket TV for whatever reason, because we've all had our own opinions on certain things. All right. At the end of the day, I want people to be able to come to my particular platform, and I want you to be able to express how you feel about anything basketball related. All right. And the only thing that I ask in return is that you do it with some type of sense about yourself. All right. And if we counter what you say with opinions, all right, that doesn't mean you have to agree with us. Just go do your research and come to your own conclusion about it and come back. My goal is not to make everybody here agree with me. My goal is just to create a community where everybody feels that they have a voice, which is one of the reasons why I'm having the FYF Sports community basketball event. Nobody else on YouTube is sponsoring a community basketball event. I don't want the influencers playing. I don't want it just to be us. I want you, the subscribers, on the court. You guys do all the talking and the debating. I want to see you guys on the court with us to see what you guys got to bring. So what I'm going to be doing with that, just so we can start to really identify who really wants to play, who really wants to commit to this, there's going to be a members tab. There's going to be a members tab on this channel. All right. If you are interested in playing, in the FYF Sports Community Basketball event, all right, all you got to do is click on that members tab, sign on to be a member of the channel. This way we can keep tabs on everybody who actually wants to be a participant in that game. All right. And so what we're trying to do is hopefully if we can get to that $5,000 threshold, if we can get all of those donations in, what we look to do is that we look to, at least for participants 5 hours that are farther than 5 hours away from Indianapolis, Indiana. We're looking to maybe purchase you guys some flights so we can fly you guys in. I don't want you guys driving 9-10 hours just to come, especially if you're a participant. All right, we want to make sure that everybody have jerseys, tops and bottoms for the game. We want this to be legit. We want this to be something that's not just 1 year. We want this to be an annual event every year, and this is the first ever event like this. So salute to you guys, because again, we couldn't have this event without you guys. So make sure you're sharing all the videos, liking and commenting, subscribing as well. You put the word out for this, put the word out for the game, because again, we want to make this game highly competitive. All right, highly competitive. So the only way we can make it competitive is you guys show us what you got. So again, if you want to play, hit that members tab, sign on to the channel to become a member. That way we can keep track of everybody who wants to play. 13 players per team, 1 celebrity player, 1 former pro player on each team. We're going to have a few influencers on each team, but the rest of the team is going to be subscribers. That's going to be you guys representing us in the FYF Sports annual community basketball event. But hey, it's been FYF Sports, man. It's been another great podcast video. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Salute to FYF Fred, man, for stepping up to the, he stepped up to the plate today. He really just exposed, he had to expose Ticket TV on some of the nonsense that he was saying. It's sad, like I said, it's sad that you got to backtrack. I mean, after disrespecting players like that, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Hopefully he can get his act together over there, man. It's unfortunate that he's over there blocking longtime supporters of the channel, like Hitman X. But it's to each his own. I mean, I guess if the block button on YouTube is your way of exercising that type of authority to make you feel better, as a man, I mean, so be it. Sometimes people need those types of crutches to make themselves feel better. Here at FYF Sports, no moderators, no mods. We did not edit your content. Say what you want on the channel, whether we like it or not. Sometimes we'll put it on the big screen. Sometimes we'll invite you into the live panel to chop it up. But if we invite you to the live panel, make sure you're ready to debate here at FYF Sports Debates, man. It's been another great podcast episode. We'll be back with more. We'll probably be going live tonight to chop it up about these games. But until then, it's FYF Sports. And we out.
DJChronicBeats.com